Common Sense with the Senior Delinquents.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Senior Delinquents. I'm Dennis Silvers here in Las Vegas, along with my co-host, Jamie McWilliams, who is in Tampa, Florida, and we have a fantastic guest for you today. Gary Van Sickle is one of golf's most followed golf writers, having covered 125 men's major championships and 14 Ryder Cups. His work includes 20 years with Sports Illustrated and Golf.com. He has also served as president of the Golf Writers Association of America. Gary Van Sickle, we are so happy to have you on Senior Delinquents on this show, because I know, you're just chock full of great information and you're going to be a great guest. And Jamie and I are very happy to have you. Want you to know that.
Well, it's great being had by you guys. And yes, I am a senior delinquent, although it does sound like we're part of some kind of halfway house program, but it's not far off base, actually. So there you go.
You go against the grain a bit. And to tell you the truth, Gary, I Google Earthed your house because I want to see what it's like to live in Pittsburgh, and a little shocked to find out that the deck you put on the back of your house was all the ING and other awards. You just crafted them together. I thought that was a little tacky, but very good use of all of that material. So it's great to have you here.
That's some quality lumber there, and you just can't let it go to waste.
Waste not, want not. Well, Gary, a recent article in Sports Illustrated was authored by Drew Ortiz, and it gave information on the best fishing lures. Only there was a problem, and it was the author. There is no Drew Ortiz who authored the article. It was done by an AI program, and that has created a firestorm. What's your reaction to it?
We know AI is already doing like writing up prep stories because it's not that hard. Joe Jones scored 27 points and had 12 rebounds. This is a little different. They're taking it up a level, but here's where they went wrong. Making up a fake byline name, that's kind of a gray area for me. To me, that's borderline, and maybe I'd be okay with that, but then they went ahead and created a fake biography for Drew Ortiz and all these other guys. Now, when you create a fake biography, that's out and out fraud. That's open and shut. So I don't know. SI can say they didn't know about that, but they had to know, and they should have known. It's kind of like being the head coach of a football team. If you do know, you should be fired, and if you don't know, you should be fired for not knowing. So it was wrong on every count.
Bob Herrig, another president of the Golf Writers, who is now still working and on staff at SI. I asked him about it, same reaction as you, but what I didn't know, he says, well, actually they have a union there and they're really outraged because he felt like this is about people and more about money, and just saying we're trying to save a few bucks.
No question. As far as the media goes, there's no interest in a quality product anymore. The bean counters are in charge everywhere. They count clicks on the internet. They don't count awards. They don't care about quality. That's why every story is 3 things about Thursday's round at Augusta, or 4 things you didn't know about Greg Norman.
We had seen each other down at Myrtle Beach, Pine Lakes Country Club, with the Golf Writers. We had played there, and that was the birth of Sports Illustrated, and it was the premier sports publication in the country. It really is sad to see that it's kind of, I don't know if you say devolved, but it's changed in ways that are not good.
It's about saving money, because you might have noticed Sports Illustrated has gone from being a weekly to a bi-weekly to barely a monthly.
Yeah.
And magazines are like newspapers. They're circling the drain, if not already down the drain, and it's over. It's so disheartening to have been in this business that was so good, and now the assumption that people on the internet don't want to read something of quality or are incapable of reading it. To me, it's a wrong assumption, but that's because everything's about money. It's kind of literature for dummies. That's where we are. literature for dummies.
Well, today I went and looked at on YouTube by a company in India, a presentation on how to use it. And I tried to use it. And what I discovered is this is heaven for computer obsessed nerds who can't write. Because when I tried to get it to write a sports story, the steps that were outlined, you're putting almost as much work into setting it up to do what you want it to do as just doing it yourself. So for me, I just said, all of that doesn't make it that efficient, and then throw in the factor that there's no humanity to it. There's no real context or personalization. And it was a kind of complete disaster.
AI is never going to write a lead like, under a blue-gray October sky, the four horsemen rode again. It's never going to happen.
Unless it plagiarizes.
Yeah, unless it plagiarizes, but it wouldn't even know that was any good. So this is happening not just in sports writing, but everywhere. I mean, they've got robots now they're teaching them how to flip pizzas. We're going to replace all workers with AI, and it sounds a lot like any of 12 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Well, Gary, I'm interested to get your take on rolling back the golf ball. All of the people that I have talked to on my golf show think it's a terrible decision, as I do, for a number of reasons. And really, when you think about it, the only people that it's really going to affect, and I don't know whether you will agree with this or not, really are the amateurs, not so much the professionals.
As usual, it's too little too late. You don't let people use stuff and then take it away, but this is how it's been. You can go back to the long putter. That started in the early 80s with Charlie Owens and Johnny Miller, and they let that go 35 years. The problem with this, there was really nobody in favor of bringing the ball back except the purists. The PGA Tour doesn't want it. They don't want their product affected. The players don't want to give up anything that might be a competitive disadvantage. The manufacturers were totally against it, especially Titleist. They run their businesses, the ball makers, by using the PGA Tour to advertise their products for them. Now, granted, we've picked up 30 yards in the last 20 years, and we're only giving 5 yards back. It's not that big of a deal, given what we've gained. I mean, I got longer off the tee in my 40s and through my 50s. It was great. The obvious solution was bifurcation, one set of rules for professional golf and one for amateur golf. In their defense, it would have cost a fortune. They've got to make two kinds of balls, two kinds of equipment. Right. Once you take bifurcation out of the equation as a possible answer, but as far as the amateurs go, were you unhappy with golf 10 years ago? The way you played, how far the ball went? Okay, well, then we're going to go back 10 years. All right, we were already there and it was okay. It's going to be the same proportionally for everybody. Look, let's go back to the beginning where this got off the rails. That was when Gary Adams came up with the metalwoods. The USGA back in the mid-'70s, all they had to do was say, metalwoods, what part of the word wood don't you understand? If metalwoods are not allowed, where are we right now? We're still hitting persimmon farther. They've missed the boat on technology all the way along.
Gary, I wouldn't care if they rolled it back 25%. I always think that the game is relative, and a little bit of a parable as an aside. I have a ping bag, and I'll go out with 3 clubs and 4 clubs, and sometimes amaze myself in that I'll be 1 over or 2 over par for those 4 or 5 holes, because even though I'm hitting shorter, I'm putting in positions where I can chip. I'll putt with a 5-iron. I've traveled with 10 and 11 clubs just to keep the weight down, and I found out that I played about the same. If they went to 10 or 11 clubs, I'll bet you handicaps wouldn't change that radically. All that would happen is people would have to think maybe a little bit more like the pros in terms of calculating where are the misses, where can I do it. And you're a good golfer. I'll bet you could adapt to it too. I'm more in favor of saying, just enjoy the game and take what's there. And if you use your head rather than look for the magic bullet, it'll still be a good game.
You know, it's funny. I usually travel. I take 1 club out too for the weight reasons. Right. But stop and think what you're saying, Jamie.
I never do
You
that.
want manufacturers to sell fewer pieces of equipment? Oh my gosh, you're under arrest. They don't want to hear that.
Another reason why more players are going to jump to the LIV Tour.
Money, money, money. Are you good with this? Does money making this game a hell of a lot better, especially on the professional level?
The guys who've gone to LIV, they all have one thing in common, pretty much, except for Koepka, who won the PGA. As soon as you go to LIV, you drop off the map of golf. That's what happens. You don't get any publicity. You're not on a big TV network. You know, you win a tournament, well, you beat 47 guys named Bert Wiesberger. I mean, the real problem is the tournaments don't have meaning, and they aren't ever going to have meaning. They don't have names. The PGA Tour has all that history, Colonial and Pebble Beach, and they go back to the same spots. LIV, you know, maybe has gone back to 2 or 3 of the same courses, but the tournaments don't have a name. It's just the LIV tournament in London. They're not building any history. It's an exhibition series for money, and I thought the team thing might have been the way for them to go to differentiate themselves. Just have team golf and make it like a sports league, you know, with franchises. You make trades, you have a draft, all that kind of thing. But they're playing individual stroke play plus that, and you know, they can't seem to get on a network that I have access to. And when I do see them, they got this big scoreboard down the side that's so cluttered, it's very hard to even keep track of what's going on. I don't think anything about their format is appealing, but John Rahm, I guess we'll miss him. Who we got? Jordan Spieth, Scotty Scheffler? You go through eras, there's only a few guys who, I hate to say move the needle because that's such a cliche now, but Snead and Hogan, Darnell Palmer to Jack Nicklaus, and then Tiger and Phil. Tiger and Phil sold tickets.
I think there's always something that the two groups could take to maybe improve whatever they're doing product-wise. I think LIV over time will have some impact on the tour in terms of maybe how they change or look at things differently. And it's awfully hard to compete when a nation is backing you. And even with the LPGA, they keep adding events, getting bigger and bigger purses, but you look at it on TV and there's hardly any gallery, but the money keeps getting bigger.
No, it almost seems like the golfing equivalent of the real estate bubble. You got all this money coming in, but the interest isn't coming along with it. It's just money. When that kind of money is thrown around, I mean, $500 million, John Rahm's never going to make that on the PGA Tour.
No.
It would take him 15, 20 years.
It's going to be interesting to see the 3 players that he woos over to his team. You know they're going to be marquee players.
I wouldn't be surprised eventually maybe these LIV events become part of the tour, or they just stamp out LIV. Money talks. It gets so big you can't ignore it.
You're right. Money talks, but also Gary talks. And it's been wonderful having you on the show. And we appreciate your insights. Sure. And hopefully sometime in the future we can reignite this when we know where the heck it's all going.
Visit our website, where all of the episodes of the Senior Delinquents can be seen, as well as on various other social media platforms.
Well, Dennis, I've had my latest golf article written by an AI program, and it's being critiqued by another super smart AI program. So, supercomputer, what do you think of my AI writer?
It's retarded, and so are you.
Well, Dennis, everyone's a critic, so until next time, hi-ho Silvers, away.
So on, partner.